Welcome, curious explorers, to Saltwater Stories. I'm thrilled you're joining us today.
It's great to be here.
We're setting sail on a fascinating journey today, exploring an ocean creature that's, well, full of surprises.
Definitely more than meets the eye with this one.
Imagine an animal that builds his own little stone house, makes some of the strongest glue known, and get this, sometimes travels the world riding on a whale.
Sounds like something out of a storybook, doesn't it? But it's very real.
It really does. And the amazing thing is, this creature isn't what most people think it is. It's got some hidden secrets about who it really is and what it can do.
Yeah, it's funny how sometimes the most common things, the ones you see all the time, hold the biggest mysteries. This little guy even fooled scientists for centuries.
Okay, the suspense is building. So what is this incredible fortress, super gluing, whale riding marvel? It's the barnacle.
The humble barnacle.
Exactly. Now, I know what some of you might be thinking. Barnacles. Aren't those just like crusty bumps on rocks?
That's the usual reaction, just part of the scenery.
Right. But stick with us, because we're about to uncover just how extraordinary these animals truly are. We're peeling back the layers.
Prepare to be surprised.
So, first things first, let's tackle the biggest misconception right away. That hard shell.
Yeah.
It makes you think snail or clam, right?
Absolutely. For hundreds of years, people looked at that calcium carbonate shell and naturally thought, okay, it must be a mollusk, like an oyster or a mussel. Makes sense, visually.
But it's not. That's the first big reveal. Here's where it gets really interesting.
It totally is. If you look beyond the shell, the barnacle is actually a crustacean.
Wow. So related to crabs, lobsters, shrimp.
Exactly. Its closest cousins are those guys. It seems totally counterintuitive when you look at an adult barnacle stuck to a rock.
How did anyone even figure that out? They look nothing alike.
Well, a famous scientist, Louis Agassiz, back in the 1800s, put it perfectly. He said a barnacle is basically nothing more than a little shrimp-like animal standing on its head in a limestone house and kicking food into its mouth.
Standing on its head, I love that description, and kicking food.
Yeah, with its legs. Their scientific name, Cirripedia, even means curly-footed. Those feet are actually feathery legs called cirri, and that's what they use to catch food. We'll get more into that later.
Okay, so Agassiz had the idea, but how did scientists prove it? Prove they were crustaceans?
The proof came from looking at the babies, the larvae. Around the 1830s, researchers started really studying the earliest life stages.
Like microscopic barnacles.
Exactly. The first stage is called a nauplius larva. It's tiny, free-swimming, has one eye.
One eye. Cool.
And crucially, this nauplius larva looked exactly like the nauplius larvae of known crustaceans, like shrimp and crabs.
So the babies gave the secret away.
Bingo. Seeing those identical larval forms was the undeniable link. Suddenly it clicked. Okay, despite the adult form, its origins are clearly crustacean.
That whole confusion, though, it led to some pretty wild ideas, didn't it? I heard about geese.
Oh, yes. The barnacle goose myth. That's a classic. For centuries, particularly in medieval Europe, people genuinely believed that certain types of barnacles, the ones with long stalks called gooseneck barnacles,
Gooseneck.
that they actually grew into geese.
Hmm.
They'd see these barnacles washed ashore on driftwood, see the feathery cirri inside, and think they were looking at tiny geese developing.
No way. They thought birds came from barnacles.
They absolutely did. It sounds bizarre to us now, but back then, bird migration wasn't understood. They saw these geese appear seasonally, saw these stalked barnacles with feathery bits, and connected the dots incorrectly.
Wow. So how long did people believe that?
For a surprisingly long time, hundreds of years. It just shows how compelling observation can be, even when the conclusion is wrong. It took a while for the science to catch up.
That whole story, the shell confusion and the goose myth, it kind of makes you think about something else in biology, doesn't it? Like how different things can end up looking similar.
You're hitting on convergent evolution. That's exactly what it illustrates.
Right. So barnacles and mollusks aren't related closely, but they both ended up with hard shells.
Precisely. They face the same problem, needing protection from waves, drying out predators, and independently evolved a similar solution. A hard, protective outer layer. Nature essentially found a good design twice.
Okay, so we know they're crustaceans, not mollusks, and they start life very differently. Let's follow that journey. What's life like for a barnacle? It starts tiny, right?
It does. It begins as that microscopic nauplius larva we mentioned, just a speck floating in the ocean currents, part of the plankton.
Eating tiny plants.
Yep, phytoplankton, tiny algae. And this swimming stage is super important because it's how they spread out. Barnacles might be stuck as adults, but their babies are world travelers.
So they drift around, eating and growing. Then what?
After molting, shedding its skin a few times as it grows, it transforms into the next larval stage, called the cyprid.
Cyprid. Okay, is that still swimming?
It is, but the cyprid stage has a very specific mission. It doesn't eat. Its only job is to find the perfect place to settle down. Permanently.
Wow, no pressure. How does it choose? It can't see much, can it?
It uses other senses. The cyprid has these special little antennae, and it basically walks or crawls across surfaces, tasting them chemically.
Tasting the rock.
Kind of. It's looking for specific chemical cues. Texture matters too, but the big thing is detecting chemicals released by other adult barnacles.
Ah, so it wants to live near other barnacles, safety in numbers.
Exactly. It tells the cyprid, hey, this is a good spot. Other barnacles are surviving here. There's probably food and, importantly, potential mates nearby.
Makes sense. So it finds the perfect spot, maybe near some friends.
Yeah.
Then what's the big step?
This is the amazing part. It stops crawling, points its head down, and releases this incredibly powerful cement from glands in its antenna. It glues its head to the surface.
Glues its head down.
Permanently. Permanently. That's the point of no return. Once that glue sets, it's committed for life. And then it undergoes this massive transformation, a metamorphosis. Its whole body shape changes. It develops the shell plates, the feeding legs rearrange, and it becomes the upside-down adult barnacle we recognize, living inside its fortress.
That whole process is just incredible, from tiny swimmer to cemented fortress.
It's a really remarkable life cycle.
So once they're stuck there, head glued down, house built, how do they survive? They seem pretty exposed, especially when the tide goes out.
They've got some brilliant adaptations, superpowers, really. That shell is key.
The fortress of solitude.
Exactly. It's usually made of 6 strong interlocking plates forming the walls, plus a lid on top made of maybe 2 or 4 more plates called the operculum. Think of it like a little trapdoor.
Okay, so the walls and a trapdoor, what's that for?
Protection, mainly. Protection from predators trying to eat them. But just as important, protection from drying out. When the tide goes out and leaves them high and dry, they pull that operculum shut tight.
Trapping water inside.
Yep. They trap a little bit of seawater inside their shell, which keeps their body moist until the tide comes back in. It's like having a built-in canteen.
Clever. And you mentioned some might be lighter colored higher up.
Yeah, that's another neat trick. Barnacles, living higher up the shore, exposed to more direct sun, often have whiter shells. The lighter color reflects more sunlight, helping them stay cooler. It's like wearing a white t-shirt on a sunny day versus a black one.
Nature's little design tricks. Okay, so they're safe inside. How do they eat if they're stuck? You mentioned kicking food.
Right, the curly feet. When the tide comes back in and covers them, they open that trapdoor, the operculum, and extend their legs, those feathery cirri.
The curly feet.
The curly feet. And they rhythmically sweep them through the water. They act like fine nets, filtering out tiny plankton and other food particles floating by.
So they're filter feeders, like oysters or clams in that way.
Exactly. They actively comb the water for their food, bringing it right down to their mouth, which is, remember, inside the shell, near where their head is glued down.
Standing on its head, kicking food into its mouth. It makes perfect sense now.
Doesn't it? And then there's that glue.
Ah, yes, the super glue. How strong is it?
Incredibly strong. We're talking one of the most powerful natural adhesives known. Imagine trying to create a glue that sets instantly underwater and holds fast to almost any surface rock, metal, plastic, even whale skin.
That's amazing. How does it even work? Especially underwater.
It's complex, a mix of special proteins. But a key discovery was that it also contains lipids, sort of like fats. These lipids actually push water molecules away from the surface right before the protein part of the cement cures.
So it creates its own little dry spot for the glue to stick.
That seems to be the trick. It overcomes the huge challenge of bonding in a wet environment.
Yeah.
The estimated strength is somewhere between, say, 20 and 60 pounds per square inch. That's a serious hold.
Wow. No wonder they're so hard to scrape off boats.
Absolutely. That glue is built to last.
So where do these amazing creatures live? You find them pretty much everywhere, right?
Pretty much. They are true global citizens, thanks to that drifting larval stage. You find barnacles in freezing Arctic waters, warm tropical seas, deep oceans, shallow tide pools.
All over the place, mostly on hard surfaces.
Mostly. Rocks are classic barnacle real estate. Piers, docks, buoys, ship hulls, anything solid in the water is fair game. But some are specialists.
Specialists like what?
Well, some species live only in the really deep sea, near hydrothermal vents, those super hot underwater geysers. Others have adapted to live in estuaries where the water salinity changes a lot, almost fresh sometimes.
They really get around even when they're stuck. And the whale thing, that's real.
Oh, absolutely real.
Yeah.
Barnacles living on whales are a great example of amphibians organisms that live on the surface of another living creature.
So the whale is like a moving home.
Exactly. Think of it as a living substrate, but one that travels thousands of miles. The whale barnacle gets a secure place to live and a constant supply of food-rich water rushing past as the whale swims. Plus, a free ride to new feeding grounds.
Does it hurt the whale?
Generally, no. Whales have thick skin and blubber. A few barnacles, or even quite a few, usually don't bother them much, though a really heavy load could potentially create a tiny bit of extra drag in the water.
And it's not just whales, right? Other animals too.
Definitely. You find specific types of barnacles living on sea turtles, crabs, even manatees. Some even burrow into coral skeletons or mollusk shells. They find a home wherever they can.
They're not just passengers, though. Do they actually do anything for the environment around them, besides being bumps on rocks?
They do. They might seem small, but colonies of barnacles can act as ecosystem engineers.
Ecosystem engineers, what does that mean?
It means they physically change the environment, creating habitats for other species. All those packed together shells create lots of little nooks and crannies.
Ah, like tiny apartment buildings.
Exactly. Those spaces provide shelter for small worms, tiny crustaceans, juvenile snails, all sorts of little critters hiding from predators or the waves. So barnacles actually increase the biodiversity, the variety of life in their little neighborhood.
And they filter the water too, right? While feeding.
Yes, constantly sweeping plankton out of the water helps keep the water clear. And of course, they're food themselves. They're an important link in the food web.
Okay, so who eats something that lives in a stone fortress?
Good question. It takes some specialized predators. As larvae, they're eaten by lots of filter feeders and small fish. But the adults, well, some sea snails, like whelks, have a special tongue-like thing called a radula that's like a drill. They can bore a neat little hole right through the barnacle's shell.
Drill through the shell.
Wow. Sea stars are another predator. They can use their powerful tube feet to slowly pull the barnacle's trapdoor plates apart and digest the animal inside. And certain crabs have strong claws that can crush or chip away at the shells.
So even the fortress isn't completely safe.
Nope. But then, there are the other barnacles. The really weird ones.
Weird how we've already had upside-down shrimp relatives and whale riders.
Prepare yourself. Some barnacles aren't filter feeders living in shells at all. They're parasites. Body snatchers, really.
Body snatchers, seriously. Barnacle body snatchers.
Oh, yes. The most famous example is a group called Rhizocephala, and the classic one is Saculina, which infects crabs.
What does it do to the crab?
Okay, buckle up.
Oh.
A female Saculina larva finds a crab, finds a joint in its armor, and injects a tiny cluster of cells inside. These cells grow into a network of root-like threads that spread throughout the crab's entire body, absorbing nutrients directly. The Saculina itself basically dissolves its own body into these roots.
Ugh, that sounds awful.
It gets weirder. The parasite prevents the crab from molting or reproducing it, sterilizes it. Then the Saculina grows an external reproductive sac, which emerges on the crab's underside, right where a female crab would normally carry her own eggs.
So it makes the crab think the parasite's babies are its own.
Precisely. The crab, completely controlled by the parasite, meticulously cares for this sac. It cleans it, protects it, waves its abdomen to aerate it, just like it would its own brood pouch. And here's the kicker. It even chemically castrates male crabs and makes them behave like females, developing wider abdomens and performing the egg-carrying behaviors, all to care for the parasite's offspring.
No way. It changes the crab's body and behavior.
Yeah.
That's one of the weirdest things I've ever heard in nature.
Isn't it incredible? It's a mind-boggling example of how far evolution can push adaptation, even into these really spooky parasitic strategies. A barnacle relative.
Okay, wow. From filter feeders to body-snatching parasites, barnacles are definitely full of surprises. What about their relationship with us, with people?
It's a mixed bag, really. Sometimes they're a huge nuisance, and sometimes they're a delicacy or even inspiration.
Let's start with the nuisance part. Ships, right?
Ships, oil rigs, pipes, anything we put in the ocean, really. This is called biofouling. Barnacles love to settle on these surfaces.
And that's bad because
It creates drag. A layer of barnacles on a ship's hull makes it much less streamlined. The ship has to burn significantly more. Fuel estimates are up to 40% more just to maintain the same speed.
40% more fuel. That's huge.
It is. It translates into billions of dollars in extra fuel costs globally each year, not to mention the extra pollution from burning all that fuel.
Yeah.
So Preventing barnacle growth or finding easy ways to remove it is a massive industry.
Billions of dollars fighting barnacles. Wow. But you said they can also be a good thing, like food.
Yes, not the common acorn barnacles you see on rocks usually, but specifically those gooseneck barnacles we mentioned earlier, persibes. They're called in Spain and Portugal.
Percebes, are they tasty?
Apparently, incredibly so. They're considered a real luxury seafood. Very expensive. People say they taste intensely of the sea, like a burst of ocean flavor, very briny and unique.
Sounds interesting. Are they hard to get?
Extremely. And dangerous. This is the really dramatic part. Harvesting percebes is one of the riskiest fishing jobs in the world. The barnacles grow on rocks in the most wave-battered parts of the coastline.
So people have to go out in huge waves.
Exactly. The harvesters, the perceberos, often have to time their movements between massive crashing waves, clinging to slippery rocks, sometimes dangling from ropes, to quickly pry the barnacles off. There are documentaries about it. It's an incredibly dangerous work for a small, expensive harvest.
Oh, risking your life for barnacles. They must be good.
They're highly prized. And it's not just Europe. Some indigenous groups in North America also traditionally harvested and ate barnacles.
Okay, so a pest for ships, a dangerous delicacy. What else? You mentioned inspiration. Does that connect back to the glue?
It absolutely does. Remember how amazing that underwater glue is? Scientists are fascinated by it. This is biomimicry, learning from nature to create new technologies.
So copying barnacle glue. For what?
For medical applications, primarily. Imagine developing a surgical glue that could work inside the human body in wet conditions to seal wounds or incisions instantly without stitches. Or a dental adhesive that bonds perfectly even in saliva.
A glue to stop bleeding in surgery. That would be incredible.
It really would. Barnacle cement proteins are being studied intensely to figure out how they achieve that super strong, waterproof bond. The hope is to synthesize something similar.
So the very thing that costs the shipping industry billions might one day help save lives in hospitals.
Isn't that something? It just shows you problems in one context can be solutions in another. Nature is full of that kind of elegant efficiency.
It really is. But even tough little barnacles must be facing challenges today with all the changes happening in the ocean.
Sadly, yes. Even creatures as resilient as barnacles are being affected. Climate change is a big one, warming waters, and ocean acidification.
How does warmer water affect them?
It can stress them physiologically. In some areas, unusually warm water has been linked to reproductive failure. They just can't produce healthy larvae. It can also affect their distribution, maybe allowing some species to move into new areas while others struggle.
And acidification. That's the ocean getting more acidic from CO2.
Right. And that directly impacts anything making a calcium carbonate shell, like barnacles. What's interesting is that some studies show barnacles might grow bigger shells in more acidic water.
Bigger. That sounds good.
But those shells are actually weaker, more brittle, like a cookie that looks impressive but just crumbles easily. So they might be more vulnerable to predators or wave damage.
So not necessarily a good thing. What about pollution?
Barnacles are filter feeders, remember. They pump huge amounts of water through their bodies. This means they also take in pollutants that might be in the water, things like heavy metals, or even tiny microplastics.
So they end up collecting pollution inside them.
They can, yes, which is bad for them, obviously, but it also makes them useful to scientists as bioindicators. By studying the pollutants inside barnacles from a certain area, scientists can get a good idea of what contaminants are present in that environment. They're like little living recorders of water quality.
That's useful, but sad for the barnacles. Are there other threats?
Overharvesting is a problem for some species. Like those prize percebes, if not managed carefully. The Azorian barnacle, for instance, is now considered endangered partly due to harvesting pressure, and general habitat destruction from coastal development can also reduce the space available for them to settle.
It sounds like a lot of challenges for such a small creature. Is there any good news? Are people trying to help?
Yes, definitely. There are positive stories. That co-management approach for percebes harvesting in Spain is a great example. Fishermen, scientists, and managers work together to set limits, rotate harvest areas, and ensure enough adult barnacles are left to reproduce. It shows that sustainable use is possible.
Working together, that's key.
Absolutely. And there's innovative research, too. Some scientists are experimenting with things like 3D printed surfaces designed to mimic natural rocky shores, hoping to create new habitats or help restore damaged areas, providing surfaces for barnacle larvae and other small creatures to settle on.
Using technology to help rebuild nature, that's hopeful.
It is. It shows we're starting to think more creatively about how to coexist and even help repair some of the damage done. It raises that question, can we actually partner with nature to find solutions? And the answer seems to be leaning towards yes, if we're smart about it.
What a journey we've been on today, all centered around the seemingly simple barnacle.
It really shows you, doesn't it?
It does. From finding out they're actually crustaceans, cousins to crabs,
They're minding on their heads.
standing on their heads, to their incredible life cycle, that super glue, their fortress shells riding on whales.
And even the bizarre parasitic ones.
We can't forget those.
Mm.
And their vital role in the ecosystem, building homes, cleaning water, and their complicated relationship with us. It's just amazing how much is packed into such a small creature.
It really underscores how much complexity and wonder exists in places we might not expect. If a creature that seems so basic, so fixed, can teach us about evolution, about natural engineering, about parasitism, about living sustainably, it really makes you wonder.
It does. What else is out there?
Exactly. What other profound lessons are waiting in the ocean, perhaps hidden in creatures even less conspicuous than the barnacle? The potential for discovery feels endless.
That's a wonderful thought to end on. So next time you're near the ocean, maybe walking on a beach or a pier, take a closer look at those rocky surfaces.
See if you can spot some barnacles.
Yeah. And when you do, remember their incredible, surprising story. Remember the upside-down shrimp relative in its fortress, filtering the sea. Thank you so much for joining us on Saltwater Stories today.
It was a pleasure.
We hope you enjoyed exploring the world of the barnacle with us. Join us again next week for a brand new exploration.